Urban-Econ, as I have mentioned, was appointed to conduct research for the GPF, and the purpose of the study was the impact of COVID-19 on the affordable rental housing market. A number of key objectives form part of the study, and this included looking at what was the impact on new trends as well as trends in the past pre-COVID, outlining a various number of economic drivers and trends, as well as the demographic profile of a number of trade areas in which the GPF's profile lies. We also set out to identify new trade areas in which the GPF's profile does not finds itself, and where they can look into expanding their developments and funding. And lastly, to provide a number of feedback, key points and elements within the GPF's portfolio. So looking at the diagram, we can see that the study areas that were covered, we divided it into two study areas. Firstly, affordable housing, and secondly, student accommodation. The market areas and trade areas that are covered in the two trade areas identified obviously differ between the location of tertiary institutions and the developments in which the GPF focus. 7 key areas were identified for the affordable housing sector. We also looked at the student housing trade areas, like I have mentioned, where the institutions are located. We took into consideration the restructuring zones as well as the priority housing areas when coming up with these trade areas, and a number of these overlap with where GPF finds themselves. Lastly, I just want to give 1 or 2 recommendations that you can maybe note down and take with you for moving forward. So a high level of support is definitely required for the recovery, specifically with relation to funding structures that are in place, incentives imparted to companies contributing to affordable housing, possibly implementing a policy to look at the betterment and the increased implementation of affordable housing as well as student accommodation, integration with other departments and their stakeholders, as well as with the private sector. That integration and collaboration is of extreme importance. Then looking into reviewing the features that define the rental affordability ranges, the impact that COVID-19 had on the affordability and income levels and spending power of our population has definitely decreased. It's also important to conduct more localized market research and feasibility studies to provide a better understanding of the more specified areas in which developers want to focus. Lastly, and I think the most important, is to know that when demand figures are obtained and studies are conducted, it's important to adhere to these figures. Otherwise, this will lead to oversupply and a general bad impact on the market moving forward.